Hello and welcome back to Reality Check. If you are new here, consider subscribing, number one. On this channel, we care for hearts and minds. And every week we have conversations, some sensitive, some not so sensitive, regarding mental health in the areas of marriage, relationships, parenting, and raising children, just you as an individual, and in the workplace. Today is no different. We have a rather interesting conversation, and we're going to be talking about how to thrive under a difficult boss or supervisor. So it's been known that one of the most common reasons that people leave a workplace or organization is because of a difficult boss or a difficult supervisor. You've also probably heard the saying that people don't leave a workplace or an organization, they leave a boss. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard that saying before. And so today we want to delve into that conversation. If you find yourself in this situation, maybe it's time for you to ask yourself, should I stay? Should I leave? And if you decide to stay, what are some tools that you can employ to have a wonderful working relationship and even thrive while you are in that place? Joining us for this discussion is a special guest, Ruth Ndwiga. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Very well.
Ruthie you're a coach, a leadership coach.
Yes.
Yes, a leadership coach, and I'm going to allow you to say what you do so I don't butcher it. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay.
So my name is Coach Ruthie. I'm a certified coach, specialized in leadership and business, and I'm also a HR consultant and a passionate foodie.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm also the CEO of Badili Consults. We're here to support organizations, to support you thrive in the workplace.
Yeah. Wonderful. Good. Yeah, so Ruth is joining us for this conversation, and as you have heard her CV, she is qualified to talk about this subject. And then, of course, none other than...
Uncertified.
Uncertified, yes, uncertified. And of course, Dr. Evas Atwiine, who is not new to you, at least the old subscribers. For the new ones, she is the founder of International Center for Mental Health and Family Care. She's also a trained therapist, and she is a marriage coach and a parenting coach as well. So if those are areas that you would like support in, maybe just to pick her mind on a few ideas here and there, she's the person to call, alongside another wonderful, awesome team of therapists. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And so maybe a good place to start would be to describe what people consider a difficult boss. And are they difficult for the sake of being difficult? Is it a personality thing? Is it that they're just very passionate about the job? How would we describe, or what constitutes a difficult boss? Okay. Yes. The guest.
All right. Thank you, Racheal and Dr. Evas. I think the word that has mostly been used is even toxic or a bad boss.
Yes.
And when we say difficult, someone might think, are we dancing around the issue? But we just want to be very specific that a difficult boss is really a difficult boss. We have not diagnosed them to be toxic or to have anything that needs some mental health attention. And it could even be any of us.
That's true.
Could be myself, I'm a difficult boss at certain instances. So I think this is a boss who then has various characteristics depending on what is on the table.
Yeah.
It could be a boss who's a micromanager, and they're there. You can feel them around your neck at every, project is being delivered, but he's there making sure that you're doing it his way. It could be a boss who's also abusive. Some are not able to control their temper. They have many faces. Some throw you under the bus for whatever reason. They want to take the credit. You've put in all the hard work, but for some reason, they're always the hero in your story. And there are many reasons why an employee can feel that a boss has been difficult. I've also noticed there is a version of a boss who's generally a good person, but let's say they're not giving you adequate information. You have a project to run, but you don't have all the resources that you need. So depending on the scenario, then that's where someone might feel, I have a difficult boss. But whichever way we look at it, we need to first of all be able to evaluate that we're actually dealing with a difficult boss. Each one of us has a bad day, I believe, or a bad season. So that may not amount to you being a difficult person at that point in time. This boss could also be dealing with a time season where, they are confronted with pressures, even business challenges. Maybe there's a target they're supposed to meet, and you're the beanbag that's around, You're the person behind also the deliverables. So it's good first to ascertain that you're really dealing with a difficult boss. And I know it's a big, big issue for us who are in the HR department. It's an issue that's reported a lot. I think the statistics go as high as 60% that we are faced with a difficult boss. And most of the employees who have a difficult boss, the first thing on their mind is to leave. They want to exit. So maybe Dr. Evas
can add on.
Yeah, sure. No, you've said it. You've said much of it. Maybe to add that a difficult boss. What I meet, and Racheal, when you are doing introductions, I'm also a workplace wellness coach.
Yes.
Yeah. So some of the things we are seeing in the workplace, people complain about, is a boss who spreads negative energy. Like there's nothing positive someone hears, no good thing.
Yeah.
They either they hold back and never say anything, and anytime they pop up, they're just giving negative energy. Now, you'll have heard me talk about how 80% of the energy we use, whether at home, in life generally, but now that we are talking workplace, is called psychic energy. Psychic energy comes from how we feel on the inside. And so when someone pours cold water on you, you just keep depleting. So the motivation to work just gets drained because they only give us negative energy. What's wrong with you? This report, someone can have a report 10 pages and there's one typo. They'll just look at the typo. So they don't use what we call positive reinforcement, positive affirmation. This is really good. What are you doing? When you say that, then someone gets energy. They light up. Yeah, so a difficult boss is when you keep giving negative comments, right? Negative critiques to someone. That's a difficult boss. A second one, in addition to what you said, is either they hold feedback. They don't give feedback. I've got some people frustrated. They can send documents and what they are given assignments, and someone just goes quiet. They go quiet. So they throw their teams into what we call mind reading game.
That sucks.
So you just have to, is he happy?
Is he okay? Walking on eggshells.
Walking on eggshells. That's a very, very difficult boss. Very, very difficult boss. The other difficult, what I've gotten from teams that we support is someone who transfers. They do what we call transference in psychology. They get their private lives and pour it into, they take it out on their teams. So you find that, you mentioned a little bit, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it, that we all have hard seasons. But then someone who is not able to manage their own stress, so every time they have an episode, they throw it on their teams. That's a very difficult person. So people keep, now the season has started again. Oh, no. And when we are doing, when we run a program we call Magic Leadership, part of it is to help managers know how to manage their stress and not take it out on people. Right? So that's a very, very difficult person. I'm very sure we can talk about so many, but those are some of the things in addition to what she said. can really constitute. There's also an insecure boss.
Yes.
Yeah, an insecure boss. An insecure boss is draining. And I think what you mentioned, that they just throw you under the bus and take credit. They always claim credit. They don't give credit to their teams, but they claim everything. That's an insecure person.
Yes,
An insecure boss can be so draining because they don't consider that they are in a leadership position and actually have the privilege to own all the contributions of people, and they need to give due consideration or credit, you know, to people who have done this, and then be comfortable in their position, knowing that by virtue of your leadership position, when this team performs well, you take the credit.
That's true.
Yeah, so you don't have to steal credit. You need to just position yourself and be secure, and give credit and say you've done this. And even when you're in meetings, you can acknowledge people because you're doing that leadership role is divine. Yeah, so but when someone is insecure, man, they can do all manner of unpleasant things. Yes.
Another wretch, I think, is an incompetent leader as well. Because how about you are the A player and your boss just somehow found themselves in that position, and every day now you're having to as if compete. You know better, and they know they need you, but for some reason then they keep putting you down. And I've noticed that the dynamic of the boss, you know, it puts you at a place of power. So I think that's why it becomes that situationship. You as an employee, you're relying on the feedback of your leader, you know, maybe even for the increment, for the promotion. And there is someone who literally every day is bringing you down. So that power dynamic, I believe, is what makes it such a core issue. This person as if is holding on to your livelihood. One wrong word and you're out. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen examples where, I mean, bosses will use their power for the wrong reasons. You know, whether it's, you know, in a scenario of, say, sexual harassment, a male boss sending advances towards a young lady. If the young lady refuses, then he uses that to withhold, you know, certain benefits that could come from the workplace.
It can also be a woman.
It could also be a woman, yes, over a male
and
subordinate.
As we are very subtle.
Yes.
Very subtle.
Yes.
Sure.
So I think also there's a challenge of communication, either because they are not aware of how to communicate to their teams. Remember, this person called a boss today might have been someone who was also on the floor with the rest of the team, and now you're in a leadership position. So I believe that's where also we come in handy as coaches. How do we ramp up our leaders? Because some of them honestly have no idea that a communication is what is needed right now. As opposed to keeping your employees secure, most of them take on insecure measures that maybe when I put you on pressure, then you're actually going to deliver. And as Dr. Eva said, probably all what they needed was, thank you, we appreciate. Well done, Racheal. See, you're already smiling, huh? Yeah.
When you mentioned that, bosses who don't understand that actually people being engaged, employee engagement, is about simple little things. It's about, thank you, I really appreciate this. It's about, oh, you need help. It's about simple things. I really appreciate what you did. This is good. This is that. That's how we boost people's psychic energy and love for work, and then their hearts connect with their hands. Then they do the work. But Racheal, before we leave this, I also wanted to talk about an insensitive boss. I think this is one of the things we are seeing in the workplace, bosses who are not so human. You see? And one of the things we actually help managers to understand that before a person becomes an employee, they are human.
That's true.
You see? Now, there is also so much about this person that goes beyond work. This is somebody's wife, it's a mother, or it's a father, or it is a wife. So when we are treating them, we don't just look at them from just one thing, one window
lens.
of employee. That's why I always tell people are not human resource, they are human beings. So how do you treat people as human beings? So for instance, a person calls in and says, my child is sick. And then someone says, you know what, you're not going to tell me the timelines. You know that we have this report, and that's what people say. And so what message are you sending to this person? Your interest. And some people go ahead to verbalize it. They say, we are here for work. Nothing else. That's not true. We are there for so many other things reasons. Beyond. So bosses who do not realize that their colleagues are human beings. You know, when a mom has just completed their maternity leave and they've returned, how do you look at them? Do you just say, now that you're here, we don't want to hear about your child? You see, when a colleague has lost a loved one, what happens? When they come back, life goes on? No. And it doesn't require so much. So a leader, you know, we call them bosses, but there's a difference between a boss and a leader. A good leader will reach out and show kindness and show compassion, and this person will get a big message that I'm cared for. Sure. I am. That's how, by the way, people keep on jobs. Yes, they connect with jobs not because you pay them so much money, but because they feel loved. They feel cared for. They feel there is a human sense to work.
Beyond targets.
Beyond targets.
Yeah, that's true. So one of the things you mentioned, Ruthie, while you were submitting earlier, is usually when people experiences any form of these bosses that we have highlighted, usually their only solution at the time is, I need to leave this workplace, or I need to leave this boss. When does somebody know when it's time to leave, or when a relationship can actually be salvaged, and what can they do to salvage that sort of relationship?
Okay. I think, in my view, when it comes to a clash in values, or what we would consider as morals, I think then you know it's time to save yourself at that point in time, because you can't compromise what you believe in for the sake of a paycheck. As painful as it might be, then let's start making a plan for transitioning. And two, if it gets physical, we've heard of bosses who hurl chairs or whatever is on site, you know. That's something even I think we should take it beyond the authority within the company. But we don't imagine those things happen in corporate spaces. But we've heard about them. They do happen even in private businesses. We've seen a boss actually literally beating, even in the homes. We have ladies who beat their house helps and justify that I was disciplining them. This is a whole human being. Why are you beating someone else's mother, you know? So when it becomes physical, I think it's time. That one, in fact, walk away. Before even you walk away from the job, no one should ever rain down on you temper tantrums. The best thing you can do is even walk away and say, I will come back when you're in better control of this, you know? I think many times as employees, we hold back. It's understandable. We are scared. We don't know whether even the person you go to is going to retaliate. You're going to suffer for being the one who highlights this. And if you feel what Dr. Evas was talking about, that energy exchange keeps waning, that you've checked yourself and your work is done, your deliverables are on point, your other colleagues have also been, you know, saying good job, Dr. Evas, but this is the one person who will not appreciate what you've put on the table. Then I think it's time you find a place where your candle will not go off. So I believe a leader is meant to inspire us. A leader is meant to take us to where we never imagined we would go to. So when this person stops doing that to you, I think it's time to start transitioning and preparing yourself for a different place. And to remind yourself that next time I'll do better. I have learned. Maybe even do your own research, background check. Same way as they are interviewing you, it's all right for you to interview a boss before you join them?
What I wanted to emphasize on my part is after someone has exploited all the options, because sometimes quitting feels like
Quick solution.
the quick solution,
Yes.
but it's not always the thing to do. And in our coaching work, Ruth knows, as she has said, that please try to solve the problem. I can never emphasize the importance of solving a problem. Now, the art of problem solving is it empowers us. Every time you overcome a hurdle, you become better.
That's true.
Now, so it's always important for colleagues to first examine what the issue is. The issue could be them.
That's
The
true.
issue could be the boss.
Yeah.
You see, sometimes we are also too hard on bosses.
That's true.
Yeah, and I don't make excuses for people to mistreat others. As a matter of fact, I really, really, really send out a message that please, let's be mindful of how we treat each other. How do we make each other feel? How does someone feel? It's as simple as that. How does my colleague feel? When I'm saying this to them, how do they feel? So it's very important that supervisors and leaders, I prefer to call them leaders than bosses, that they are mindful of how people feel. However, when a colleague feels suffocated and they feel like I have to leave, let them first examine what the issue is. Maybe you are the one that made this person a monster.
Turned them into a monster.
A monster, you've turned them into a monster. Maybe you don't really meet your timelines.
That's true.
Right?
You don't communicate.
You don't communicate. You're supposed to let your supervisor know what is going on. You didn't. You put them into a place to read your mind.
Yeah.
You know? But doesn't he know that I have a family? Say it. You see? So the issue is quitting the option, the only option? No. Have you explored all these others? Have you reached, have you examined, have you checked your part of the conflict? What is it? And I always encourage people to own up. You could, because human nature is that we tend to be self-centered and we minimize our sin. Yeah, we minimize our sin or overlook it completely.
Yes.
But I always encourage, and by the way, that's growth.
Yeah.
When people explore, they say, hey, this person is not pleased with me. What is the issue? And so you find that this boss was not born wicked, but probably they've been pushed in a place. Maybe they are working out of pressure, and they are transferring pressure onto you. So what do you do? How about you make things better? And so, but when the point I'm making here is, have you explored all the options? And are you sure quitting is the only option? Have you spoken up? We operate in a world where people don't speak up. They don't, and we've been lied to that that's humility.
Apparently.
You understand? Sometimes we say, I'm being humble, or I'm being peaceful. I'm being peace. I'm keeping peace, and so no, that's not true. You've already lost the peace. It's not there. Yeah. So have you really tried to? Have you spoken up? Have you checked with other lines of communication that you could go to? So that's very important, because that's important for someone to have closure.
Yeah.
If you live without closure, it's going to affect you. So you go to another place, you carry baggage, emotional baggage. You're angry, you get there and you feel like I could have done this, but anyway, do it. So that's number one. Number two, quit when you feel your health is threatened. Right? Your mental health. Because mental health and physical health, sometimes they go together. if your emotional health is affected, you're stressed, you're going to work in the morning, on Monday morning, and it feels like Friday evening.
Yeah.
You know, that mental exhaustion.
Yeah.
You know, that emotional depletion.
Yeah.
That's not a good place to go to, because that stress is not healthy. And so you're saying, well, maybe just in the interest of my, children, and I have to earn, and I have to do that. That's not healthy. It's not healthy. And of course, this is after you have tried everything and you feel you are in a place where quitting is the only option. But mental health, very important. Very, very important. So at that point, someone needs, because if you don't deal with this, is going to translate into physical health. So you find someone is sick all the time, flus, because
which complicates the relationship.
Which complicates it the more. You see, yes. And also you find that because someone is angry all the time, you're getting into angry outbursts. Those anger outbursts are not great in the workplace, and we've seen people yell at each other. When you get to that point, it's not healthy. Probably you need to just take a break.
What are some strategies that you can both share to work under a difficult boss? And maybe you could paint a picture, maybe say, I'm sure both of you have worked in environments where a boss was considered maybe hard to work with. So you could describe the nature of that boss. Maybe they are the kind that didn't give feedback, or they are the kind that always took the credit for themselves. I don't know what the situation was like. And then share strategies that can help someone watching. If I had a boss like that, how can I thrive? Yeah. Can I thrive?
All right. I think I'll give two scenarios of difficult bosses. But behind the scene, I don't think they were horrible human beings. They were actually just normal, regular people. But whenever this first one would get in the workspace, as if there was a switch. Yes, there was a switch that would go on, and switching that thing off, it would only stop, I think, at 10 p.m. because we worked even into the night. So I believe high pressure was a cause for that, because when you're in a commercial space, it's about numbers, targets. Have they been met? Not met. It was really that simple. So any conversation always went to, I was a number, you're a number, we're all numbers here, so what are you bringing to the table, whichever department you're from? And I noticed before meetings, is when he would get really tense, because it's the time now people have all these stories. Oh, I don't know who has done what, this client, they have not yet paid, and so I came up with a strategy. Before the meeting, I'll just make sure, first of all, the room is aerated. He would get so hot, and you could literally see him starting to sweat. So make sure the AC is working, make sure there's enough water. I even started stocking some Panadols just for, no, seriously, because I don't know what used to happen whenever we had the sales meetings. And I noticed it's just that pressure. It's not that he was a bad person or anything, but of course it was affecting the team negatively. And at that point, as a HR, I was able to keep having conversations with him every week. How do you think we are doing this week? We wanted to have more focused meetings, but if the meeting space is a war zone, then some people started avoiding and missing those meetings, or the meeting has been postponed. You show up to a meeting and probably he's the only one plus one other person. So when he was able to reflect and see, oh, I might be the cause for the stress, trauma being caused on my team, he started pushing back. And at that point, I had to wear my coach boots and inform the rest of the team, let's be prepared, by the way. If you know you've not met your targets, don't wait until the meeting to inform him. So go in advance, prepare him, as if you're marinating his mind beforehand, just so he anticipates before even the meeting starts that we've had a challenge. Don't talk about your challenge in the meeting, talk about it way earlier, before you're supposed to have delivered. And then out of that, he kept micromanaging. He had an advantage of being in the company longer. So the systems, the business was very system-based. He was very good at it. So I started encouraging, why don't we have extra sessions? Maybe over the weekend, we start training teams on the system. So you stop feeling as if people don't understand. So you get super annoyed. How are you working here for 3 years and you don't understand the system? So we got him from here up to come meet us at this point. And of course, as you train people, it's a more relaxed environment. You notice it's even a better place to talk about the targets, that if you do this, track your KPIs, you're able to know about payments before end of the month, you're able to know how far you've gone before the quarter ends. And we saw him now coming down slowly, gently. And then we started using Google Sheets. Let's be able to give him what he needs. If it's your plan for the week, you don't need to wait till next week to tell him that. I went to this client, I bounced, or they were not ready for us, or our service was horrible. So that Google Sheet kept track of everything. Like for the sales team, where are you going? What time did you come back? What was the feedback? Everything that he needed to know. So it's a concept called managing up. In managing up, then you are anticipating the needs of this boss. And then you being able to, oh, this is, I don't need to wait to be asked this. Let me even give it in advance. So I kept talking head of sales, give him the numbers even before the meeting is due so he can first handle himself, not that everything is happening all at the same time. And my second scenario was, this one was a different kind of a boss. Very, very nice, but behind closed doors, wow, the clothes would really come out. And for me, funny thing with the shouty boss, I stayed working with him longer. Yes, as opposed to this other one who was very nice with everyone. His rapport was good with the guys, the top guys there. But down here on the common level, oh my gosh, we all knew that he was two-faced. And for me, it started now affecting my mental health. And I knew I was not going to last here for long. I honestly wanted to stay. It was a good job, a good space I wanted. I could see my career growing very quickly in there. But I noticed then for every work I did, he took the credit. For everything that could have gone wrong, I was thrown under the bus, yet I was a new person. And then I realized us being in the same space is very unhealthy because I was a smaller piece to be moved as opposed to him being, a key player. So I decided at that point in time, let me hand in my resignation way in time so we could prepare for the transition and be able to, move away from that situation, literally. So, of course, it broke my heart. I can't say it was easy, but it helped to also have colleagues around tell me that you've done well, you've come this far. We didn't gossip him because gossiping also is a way that makes the situation worse. But once you hear how other people are handling this difficult post, then it bought me a bit of time. So by the time I left, honestly, I had a concrete plan. I just didn't jump into the shallow end. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I like the managing up concept. I think what I hear you saying there in terms of strategies is anticipate what your boss might need and offer the information. And don't wait for a high pressure environment like a meeting where he's expecting results. And then that's where you're telling him, oh, we bounced, the client was not there, they were not ready for us. I think that was really, really good information. And then, of course, showing us a scenario where you realize that your mental health is under threat. Yes, under threat. And I want for us to talk about that a bit later, but after we've heard from Dr. Evas.
Yeah, so for me, I will emphasize the issue of understanding your boss. Yeah. It's very important to understand. Part of the work we do is we help teams to understand each other. Don't just ask, what's wrong with this person? Because we shall know the truth and truth shall set us free. Yeah. So there is a secret in understanding people's behavior. I do remember years back, I also had a difficult boss. Very competitive, extremely insecure, taking credit for everything that people have done, not acknowledging people's contributions, and it can be really ugly. Yeah. But she was struggling, and I wasn't a psychologist then. Yeah. But I remember a gracious lady, a senior person in that office one time, and tell us about some of the things she was going through and how she grew up. Now, I'm not sending people into other
background check.
To do background check, but it's important. Yeah. It's important to know. And I liked what Ruth mentioned earlier. She mentioned that it could be a cloud that is passing.
That's true.
Now, someone could be, there are people who are good, but they could be experiencing pressure for different reasons. Maybe they have a personal issue in their lives, maybe. So for us not just to generalize and say, oh, Ruthie has been good, I don't know what the hell is going on in her life. No, let's just step back and know that that boss thing is just a label. It's a position, but we are human beings first and foremost. And so this person could be going through something, or maybe they are insecure, as we have said, or maybe they have a certain challenge. So let's try to understand the person rather than hold an expectation, and if they don't meet it, we resign. No, there could be something someone is going through. How about, let's assume your boss is insecure, right? Yeah. How do you deal with an insecure boss? What do? You stop threatening them. Yeah? You show them that you're okay. You're okay. You acknowledge their leadership. You're good. You don't get aggressive. Now, what happens is that when people realize their boss is insecure, they get aggressive. Then what happens? That's not wisdom. So it's important to know that we can't control the other person, but we can deal with ourselves. So how do you thrive? I can thrive. For instance, showing that I'm not after your position, I'm actually doing this. And I want to tell you, it works. Because once you show someone that you're okay, you actually, because an insecure person, you push their security up. You involve them. You keep them in the loop. You consult with them and say, oh, you acknowledge their contribution. That's the art of wisdom. You see? So please take time to understand your boss. Don't just put a label. That's number one. Number two, I encourage people to, maybe I'm emphasizing it, speaking up. Please speak up. Because this boss doesn't know how you feel.
That's true.
You see, I always encourage people against mind reading. Don't let your boss read your mind. Don't they know I'm a married woman? Honestly, there's so much happening. There's really, really so much happening. So please speak up. Go to your boss and tell them that you're going through this for some reason. You don't have. You haven't met the deadline, the target or whatever. Please speak up and be a good human being. Don't judge your boss because they are your boss and you say this, can't they? No, very important. The third point, again, related to what you mentioned, I encourage people to make appointments to speak with their bosses. There's power in that. If I say, Racheal, I'd like to have a word with you, what happens to your brain? You see that? You see? And that's a powerful, powerful strategy. So because it helps you to calm down.
That's true.
Right? Whenever I'm coaching people and they say, I can't talk to my boss, I say, okay, let's assume you're talking to your boss. What would you say? So there's a methodology we use in psychology. It's called empty chair methodology. So you look at this plant and say, that's your boss. Talk to them.
Talk to them.
What would you want to say to them? And so people say, I would tell them this, tell them that. And then we say, so what do you think would happen if they did that? But the most important thing is to deal with the psychology of your boss, also with your psychology. Because once I make an appointment, it's going to get the other person thinking. Especially if they haven't been treating you well, they'll start imagining, hey, this person, are they going to stand up to me? Are they going to call me out? And are they going to do what? So it prepares them also. So but also it helps you to calm down. As a matter of rule, you need to make appointments for tough conversations. What we call uncomfortable conversations. So if you sense that something has been happening, don't just go after it, direct. No, process it, build your case,
yes,
and then make an appointment. And when you go to talk about sensitive issues or how you feel, please emphasize how you feel.
Yes.
Rather than being accusatory. Don't just accuse your boss and say, you do. Approach it and say, as I mentioned, make the appointment, and when you come in, usually when an appointment is made, the temptation for a boss is to say, come now, come, let's talk now. But it's not advisable. And so you can, decline in a very humble way and say, not now. Can I suggest that we have the conversation later on? And when you get in, mention and say, this has happened. Avoid as much as possible the word you. You do this, you do that.
Very insensitive.
You can say, this has happened, I've realized this has been happening, I'm trying to understand it, and it makes me feel this way. Probably you didn't mean to do this, but this is how it's making me feel. So the choice of words, your demeanor, the tone of voice, and the body language has to be communicating respect. Any person speaking to a boss, please ensure respect. And again, it's reflected in 3 things: choice of words, voice tone, and body language.
Yeah.
If you get there, you could have a good case, but then you're showing this person
arrogant.
You're so arrogant. That arrogant look, haughty.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help you. So if you want to solve a problem, get in. Remember, I'm in for problem solving. Because quitting is not always the solution.
Yeah. I mean, as we try and bring this to a close, Ruthie mentioned a scenario in your own career journey where you realized your mental health was being threatened and you opted to leave. I know, first of all, we live in an era where mental health conversations have been highlighted a lot. We also know that there are people who take advantage of this movement, I'm going to call it that for the sake of my argument, to portray laziness. So they'll be like, oh, my mental health is struggling, but it's just that they want to stay home or take a day off. And so for purposes of helping our viewers, how do you know, maybe, how is it that our mental health is going to be challenged in a scenario like working with a difficult boss, enough for me to say it's time for me to leave? So how does working under a difficult boss, affect your mental health? And when does it become now too much that I opt to leave? Yeah.
You start being very anxious. You're doubting even that which you were able to deliver before. Whenever your boss appears, your demeanor also changes. As opposed to some light coming into the room with your boss, you want to shrink and not even be in the same room with him. Some of them are physical manifestations. You're getting palpitations. Sometimes even you're nervous, you're sweating, you're edgy. I don't think those are positive attributes of any human being in a normal work situation. And I think emotionally you feel distraught. Your energy levels are just depleted. And you now start even procrastinating work because there's a part of you inside that's fighting this thing, Whereas maybe you used to meet your deadlines, it now becomes a challenge for you to do that. As if you're fighting, or it's your body or your mind fighting the system. And many times people have also gone into the imposter syndrome because of bosses, where you feel, I don't deserve to be here. Maybe it's me. It's me who has the problem. And the worst part again is them not realizing what you're going through. For them, it's just a normal day.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and you're there suffering. So I think that's what personally I felt I would have gone through. And it came from a point of awareness. Not everyone is at that place. But we would encourage our viewers to look within themselves and even ask, what are my goals? What am I looking for first in life and also in this workplace? Am I getting those things? Am I being that person I need to become every day? So if those questions help you to a place of realizing that you're dying instead of growing, then you need to tell yourself, okay, let me try draw some boundaries. That's what we call control. If the boundaries then are also being disrespected every time, this person is just they're coming for you. But sometimes also people take advantage because we've not drawn the perimeter. You know how they say good fences make good neighbors? Yeah, so you can draw healthy fences with your boss and see what that looks like. If you have colleagues also who seem to be of a similar mindset, the boss now will notice a team that's actually building healthy boundaries.
When our self-esteem is flushed down the drain, what you talked about, self-doubt, so you're thrown in a place where you doubt yourself. Even the things you thought you were great at, you no longer believe in yourself. That's not a good place to be. And this goes on and goes on and goes on. That's not healthy. But fear, when you dread your boss.
Yeah.
And I must remind viewers that the workplace, that's where we spend the biggest chunk of our daytime.
That's true.
As a matter of fact, most of us go home to sleep. But true. We never spend daytime. Some people work up to Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. Just imagine you're just with this person. Yeah. That's why we advocate for healthy workplaces. Yeah. Because this is where people spend their time. So if it is going to be toxic, then it's not healthy. So you fear. You get in and you're getting heart palpitations, you're getting anxiety attacks. You know, that's not a healthy place. No. That's not a healthy person to work with. And you feel completely disempowered. You know, completely disempowered. The thought of you standing up to this person or, you know, mentioning a thing, it just throws you, I don't know, throws you off and you feel completely out of control. Yeah. That's not good. Yeah. That's unhealthy. And can I tell you what? People are depressed in the workplace. They zone out and they just get into their place and they say, let me just survive. But you see, that's not sustainable. No. It's not sustainable. Again, I've always mentioned that people wither away. They just, you see somebody withering away. And because they fear to say anything, because the more we trap negative emotions, the more unhealthy we become. Yeah. So if you're angry, if you're fearful, you're worried all the time, you see this, you're anxious, you feel you don't have the energy to do it, start procrastinating, those are serious mental health issues. Yeah. Remember, we talk about being healthy at home, healthy at work. Yeah. You know, peace at home, peace at work, peace of mind. Yeah. So if you, sometimes the little peace we get from home, we take it to the workplace, it's depleted. You bring negative energy, you bring it home, before you know, you're just an absolute mess. Yeah. So that's not healthy. Yeah. And all of us, managers, colleagues, we need to try and make sure that we are mindful of our mental health in the workplace. Not just thinking someone owes you that. If all of us are intentional, we can really help to boost each other's mental health. Remember, the trick is one. How do I make someone feel? By what I say, what I think, what I do. That's simple, very simple. How do I make this person feel? Knowing that how a person feels is about that emotional or psychic energy. That psychic energy is the biggest part, which is 80%. It helps a person to get motivation to work. But the moment they lose that, it doesn't matter how much you pay them.
That's true.
How much you pay them. And sometimes say, the job is good, we pay them. No. They just need to love the work. what we call employee engagement. Yeah, so they engage their hands based on how their hearts
feel. The perfect way to end. They engage with their hands based on how their hearts feel.
Yeah.
And I mean, to all the managers, if you've not taken anything away from the show, I think that's a wonderful takeaway. First appeal to their heart, and then their hands will follow suit. Yeah, so much to learn and to pick from this conversation. I have learned. I mean, if I were to go back to the corporate environment, I would definitely pick some of the strategies that you have both so generously shared. So thank you, Ruthie, for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Evas, for lending us your insights as well. Let us know what has been your highlight, your takeaway from this conversation. If there's anything also within the workplace that you'd like for us to tackle, Ruthie is going to be back.
Yes.
That's for sure. Ruthie will definitely be
amazing.
back. And of course, you can reach out to her privately as well. I think we'll put your contacts.
She's also part of our team.
She is.
Yes, a workplace coach.
Oh, yes, as a workplace. Ooh, super.
Yes.
Super. That's
For your
good news.
information.
For my information. I didn't know this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you both. We look forward to hearing your feedback. As always, we love it and we deeply, deeply appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another conversation. So keep it reality check and don't forget to subscribe. Until next week, bye-bye.
Thank you.